My name is Yuta Kawamura. I'm 22 years old, and I'm currently in my 4th year at university. I'll be telling you about what I experienced when I was job hunting, and a certain miracle that occurred thanks to a good deed I did. If you're in your final years of university, or in the middle of job hunting yourself, I hope that it'll be a source of guidance, or will even just help you to look at things a bit more positively, especially if your interviews aren't going so well. I'm currently fighting on the front lines of what can be considered the battle to get a secure job in a major corporation. Myself and many other people my age have applied for interviews with tens, even dozens of companies, just for a chance to get a position in a place with better benefits. We're all desperate to grab at the perfect job, which is sure to lead to a successful career. Up until now, I've studied pretty diligently, and my grades weren't all that bad. I'd been in a kendo club since I was a kid, and I was good enough to continue it in university by joining a circle. I had participated in local and national competitions, and had won some bouts and lost others. Thanks to that, my resume didn't look too bad, and if they only focused on my grades and my good sportsmanship, I had a pretty good chance of getting a place at any company I had applied to. Unfortunately for me, it seems that no matter how good my resume looked, nobody was interested in hiring me. I was having a tough time getting the all clear from places I had already had an interview with, and I knew exactly what the problem was. It was all because I was terrible at interviews. I know what to say and how I should phrase it, and I'm confident that I could speak well in any other setting, but I was terrible at speaking to an audience. To top it off, I wasn't good at selling myself, advertising my strengths and merits. The second I entered an interview room, I would stutter, sputter, and end up adding filler words like, well, and so, to the beginning of my sentences. You may be thinking that I'm overreacting, and that those are things that everybody does on a daily basis. But every tiny little thing would weigh on me, accumulating until the interview was over. Every time I left the interview room, I could sense that the interviewer didn't have a good impression of me. And after every door I shut behind me, and every building I left, there would be a call to notify me that I hadn't passed the interview stage. To be honest, the countless failures were getting to me, and I didn't have much hope left, let alone any confidence to make it through the next interview without getting down on my knees and begging for them to take me. I only had a few interviews left. They were my only chance. Hey, Kawamura! I'm going to have a barbecue with some of the guys next week. You up for it? This is Kiyoshi Fujiki. He's in the same year as me, and is supposed to be job hunting just like the rest of us. Our personalities are completely different, and we've never hung out much together before. But for some reason, he likes to bother me a lot. I think I'll pass. I've got to focus on preparing for my next interview. Are you sure it's okay for you to be taking it easy like that? You've got your own interviews to go to, right? I knew I had made a mistake the second I asked him. A grin spread across his face, and he stood up a little taller before speaking. Well, luckily for me, the head of human resources at MoniRobo Trading Company happens to be my uncle. It's pretty much already decided that I'll be going to work there, so I don't have to do a single thing. I've got a fast pass to the good life. In other words, he was going to use his connections to sneak in through the back door. He wasn't even bothered about making it look like he was putting in an effort. I guess that's why he was confident enough to be playing with friends, while the rest of us were rushing around like headless chickens. I think a normal person would have the good sense not to brag about it, especially to someone who was on course for not getting any position at all. But it was especially because I was failing so badly that I felt so jealous that he had it so easy. Hey, how you doing? We had a lot of fun at that barbecue without you. Anyway, I heard a rumor that you were going to have an interview at MoniRobo Trading as well. Is it true? Yeah, it's true. I'm not expecting anything, but you never know. Are you being serious? It's got the best perks out of all the companies that are hiring right now, and their standards are really high to match. They're not gonna want someone like you. That doesn't mean I can't give it a shot. What's the harm in trying out for an interview? Sure, whatever. It's way out of your reach. But I guess it's good to aim high. I guess it's good to fall hard once in a while, too. Oh, by the way, my position's almost completely secure. I don't have to do a single thing. I just sit there, speak, and I'm in. It's so great that my uncle's already working there. You already told me that. Oh, did I? Sorry, I didn't mean to step all over your dreams. Hey, do you want me to put a word in for you? I could tell my uncle about you if you want. No thanks. I'll just do my best at the interview. You say that, but I bet you thought about it for a second. Either way, it was a joke, so I wouldn't be able to do anything anyway. Try not to get kicked out. I hadn't told Kiyoshi the other day because I knew he was going to say something annoying, but I was going to have an interview at MoniRobo Trading. Considering the work I would be doing, and the benefits that came with the job, it was a company that I was really looking forward to having an interview with. If anything, it was my first choice, and I didn't want to mess up the interview. I didn't like the idea that I would possibly be working with Kiyoshi if I managed to pass the interview, but even so, I made my way to the office in high spirits, spurring myself on for the hell called an interview. However, do you have anything you're good at? that? Well, I've been participating in a kendo club since I was a child. I'm still in a circle at university, and sometimes compete in local contests. Sounds tough. How do you plan to put that to good use in your work? Yes. I have a lot of physical strength, so I hope that I can be of use in the sales department, considering it'll involve a lot of moving around and visiting clients. What about if you're assigned to the office department? You'll be spending most of the day at your desk. I guess I'll... It was terrible. There were so many things I could have said, but the words wouldn't come out. I anticipated that the interviewer might ask that question, and even had prepared a response, but I was too nervous. I couldn't think straight. I knew that I hadn't made a good impression, and was already prepared for the worst. I wouldn't be getting a position at MoniRobo Trading, not after all that. My head was filled with negative thoughts. The word unemployment came at the end of every thought inside my head. My mental strength had been pushed to the limit. I was really depressed, but managed to make my way to the train station slowly, feeling like my every step was heavier than the last. When I finally made it to the station closest to the MoniRobo office, I bumped into someone I didn't expect. It was the last person I wanted to meet at a time like this. Hey, Kawamura! Did you just have your interview at MoniRobo? Clearly I wasn't having my luckiest day, because not long after arriving at the station, Fujiki had found me. I had my interview today too. It was just for show though. I've got to look like I've made some effort to get in. How did it go for you? You don't look like you're doing too great, so I guess you made a mess of it, huh? This guy has never been so considerate of someone else's feelings. But even on today of all days, he had to ask the obvious, just to rub it in my face. I wondered, as usual, why he had to be so insensitive, and why he liked to pick me out. I couldn't think of anything to say, and didn't want to tell him the details anyway, so I decided not to take him too seriously, and replied half-heartedly. My lack of response didn't bother him because he just kept on speaking at me. He didn't seem to need me to take part in the conversation at all, while I just focused on getting myself on the right train home. I remember that we were about to reach the stairs that led to the platform. In front of us, I saw a woman walking with her young daughter. You're the type that gets too bothered about the small things, makes mistakes, and then ends up failing anyway. You've got to be a bit more loose. You know, like... Fujiki was completely absorbed in his own world, thinking only about lecturing me, rather than actually facing forward and paying attention to what was in front of him. The next second... Look out! Huh? Fujiki charged into the little girl in front of us. Just when she was about to walk down the stairs, the girl lost her balance.
Rena!
Just when the little girl's mom had screamed her name, I pushed myself forwards and reached out to her. I managed to scoop her up before she fell, but my footing wasn't good. I could only hold my position for a second before...
Rena!
Like a scene out of an action movie, we fell down the stairs. I was still holding on to the little girl, and we rolled down the steps and didn't stop until we had reached the bottom, where the platform was.
Mommy! Rena! Are you okay?
The little girl was in tears, but fortunately, it didn't look like she had any major injuries. She only had a few scratches and bruises on her arms and legs. As for me... Ow!
Hey, are you okay? Don't worry, I'll call an ambulance for you. Just stay awake. Hey!
I felt pain all over my body, and I couldn't even stand up. As my consciousness faded, I glanced up towards the top of the stairs and saw Fujiki looking down at me. The second our eyes met, he looked away and stepped back from the stairs until I couldn't see him anymore. He had run away.
Hey, I heard you're in the hospital.
Sucks to be you. It's not going to be easy finding a place that will hire you when you're out of the game for this long. Yeah, you're right. But more importantly, you were the one that caused this to happen, and you ran away. I knew you weren't a great guy, but that really disappointed me.
No. Don't say it like it was my fault. I didn't do anything.
No matter how you look at it, it was your fault. You weren't paying attention.
I only bumped into her. I didn't do anything wrong. If anything, that kid should have reacted faster. Her mom should have been watching her more carefully, too. Parents these days are so irresponsible. They need to discipline their kids more.
You're being such a piece of crap. It's strangely refreshing. Do you get why? It's because I don't have to feel bad about hating you.
Anyway, it's a shame. You seemed so desperate to get a job, and now you've lost all chances to get a position. Poor you. I guess that's what makes me better than you. I was meant to get that job.
Oh, shut up.
Don't worry. I'll come visit you in hospital so you won't be that lonely.
Thanks to the fall, I have broken my arm, leg, and a rib. Even without the several broken bones, I was bruised all over. To put it simply, I was in a serious condition. No wonder it hurt like hell. Moreover, It was pretty embarrassing as a sportsman. Considering my history of participating in martial arts, I should be a bit more resilient to damage, especially if I had taken more care to fall correctly. But on the bright side, if I didn't have all those years of training, I might have died. It was going to take 2 months to completely recover, and I would need to be hospitalized for most of that time. This was really going to affect my job hunting. I was supposed to go to several other interviews over the coming week, but I was going to have to cancel all of them. Back to thinking positively. I was lucky enough to be alive, and to have prevented that little girl from getting as hurt as I did. She only needed band-aids for the scratches and cuts she got, so I was relieved that my pain had been worth it. If I hadn't gone to help her, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. Unfortunately for me, there was no way that guy would miss the chance to come see me in pain and laugh at my misery.
Kawamura! Lucky you! I took some time out of my busy schedule to come see you.
I would have preferred if you didn't. Just as I thought. He wasn't here because he was worried about my condition.
I heard that you broke a lot of bones. I never knew you were that weak. There's no way you'll find a job this year. You'll be unemployed the moment you walk out of the graduation ceremony. Your life's over. There's no point living if you're not successful like me.
He looked like he was having a lot of fun as he pointed his finger at me, laughing. He had only come to make himself feel superior to me. I guess he felt like a kid that had found a new ball to play and kick around. It annoyed me even more that he was the reason why I was in this situation in the first place. If he had only paid attention, or even reached out to the little girl before she lost her balance, I might not have had to suffer like this. But I didn't have the energy to argue with him, and even if I did, it wouldn't change the fact that I was here, and he wouldn't reflect on his actions anyway. I just let him keep talking at me, as usual.
Excuse me, can we come in?
A woman I didn't know walked into my hospital room, but the little girl that was with her was really familiar.
Hello. Thank you for saving me the other day, mister.
Hello. How are you doing? I'm glad to see you're not hurt. It was the mother and daughter that had been walking in front of me and Fujiki at the station. They had come to visit me.
I don't know how to thank you for what you did for my daughter. It was very selfless of you. Thanks to you, no harm came to her. And, as you can see, she's already up and running around.
They had come to see me to say thank you, especially. In contrast to when Fujiki had arrived, I was happy to see them. No, you don't have to thank me. I'm just relieved that she's okay. Thank you for coming all this way to see me. I feel so much better knowing it was worth it. I couldn't help but be awkward in response to the mother's sincerity, but I realized that there was someone standing behind her. It was a man I had never seen before. He was in his 60s and had a presence, as though he was a man with authority. He seemed like he could be a government official or the director of a company. He opened his mouth to speak, and I automatically pricked my ears to listen.
I'd like to thank you as well. I'm really grateful to you for saving my granddaughter from having a terrible accident.
It seemed like he was the little girl's grandfather. I felt like apologizing that they had come all this way for a random guy like me, but I was happy that my good deed hadn't gone overlooked, and seeing how loved the little girl was made the pain all the more bearable. If she had been hurt, a lot of people around her would have suffered too. The little girl's grandfather called out to me.
I heard from my daughter, Misaki, that you were wearing a suit when you had the accident. You seem pretty young. So am I right in guessing that you were in the middle of looking for a job?
Yes, you're right. I was on my way home from an interview. I'll have to keep things on hold for a while until I recover, but your granddaughter's life is much more important than my job hunting. So please, don't worry about me. I tried to show that I wasn't worried at all by acting cheerful. The reality was the complete opposite. But they seemed like really good people, and I didn't want them feeling responsible when I had only done what I had thought was the right thing to do. The little girl's grandfather seemed pleased with my words, and pulled out a business card from his wallet.
If that's so, then I'd like to help you. We owe you for saving our little Rena. It's the least I can do. I don't think I've introduced myself properly yet, but I'm sure you'll know who I am if you've had an interview with us.
He handed me the business card, and my mouth fell open when I read the name that was written there. What? You're Mr. Furuya? From MoniRobo Trading? You're the CEO? The man in front of me was the CEO of the company I had an interview with on the day of my accident. I had already received a notification that I had failed to pass the interview stage.
You're going to have a tough time finding a job when you're in this condition. If you've broken some bones, then you'll have to consider that it'll take a lot of time to recover. That time will be hard to take back, but if you're happy with us, then I'd be happy to hire you.
Huh? Well, are you sure? Without having an interview? If anything, I've already failed an interview at your company once.
I'd be happy to have you. We need more young people like you. who have strong values and stick to what they believe in. Interviews help us see more of an individual's character and thought process. But I already know how good a person you are from the way you reacted instantly to an emergency situation. Nothing else could tell me what I want to know.
After hearing the CEO's words, I felt determined to prove him right. He had accepted me for my quality as a person rather than my ability to talk in interviews. There was no better praise. Yes, please, I'd love to work with you. I couldn't believe it. In just a few minutes, I had gone from being worried about unemployment to being hired by the company I had thought was out of my reach. Everything was happening so fast. I wanted to pinch myself to make sure I wasn't in a dream or high on the pain medicine I was being given. While I was questioning my reality and checking if I was awake, the little girl's mother realized that Fujiki was in the room too. He had been silent ever since the little girl had walked in, seemingly hoping that nobody would notice him.
Huh? Aren't you the man that bumped into my daughter?
She recognized him the second she laid eyes on him. He must have known that he couldn't hide from her or make any excuses, because he wouldn't look her straight in the eye.
No! You must be confusing me with someone else!
Think that I would forget what you look like? My daughter almost fell down the stairs because of you. Of course I'd remember your face. Do you understand? Your friend broke several bones falling down those stairs. If he hadn't protected my daughter, she could have died. On top of that, you left him lying there unconscious and ran away. What the hell were you thinking?
Misaki had walked over to where Fujiki was and yelled at him angrily.
I didn't...
Fujiki was too panicked to say anything. Of course, there was nothing he could say to defend himself. He was completely in the wrong.
So, you're the young man that caused my granddaughter to fall down the stairs. I heard that you were wearing a suit too. Tell me, did you have an interview at my company?
Mr. Furuya's eyes narrowed as he questioned Fujiki. As expected of a CEO of a major corporation, he was intimidating when he wanted to be. Fujiki looked like a frog that was being stared down by a predator. He was frozen in place.
Well, I'm aware that you didn't do it on purpose, so we won't be reporting you to the police or charging you with anything. However, your actions, running away without even apologizing or tending to your injured friend, and not paying attention to your surroundings in the first place, makes me question your character. You clearly still have a lot to learn when it comes to morals and being a responsible human being.
But I didn't mean to... Honestly, I didn't think this would happen!
I don't know if you've been accepted or not after having your interview, but I'm sure you understand what will happen now that I know who you are. You won't be working in my company.
Fujiki despaired at the CEO's words and crumbled to the floor on the spot. Mr. Furuya didn't bother with him anymore and turned back to me.
I'll discuss things with my people. You should rest and focus on recovering. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you're not recovered by April, I'll adjust the training schedule to your needs. I'm looking forward to welcoming you to our company.
Yes, sir! I'll do my best to meet your expectations.
Mister, we'll come visit you again, so please get better soon.
Of course. Thanks for coming to visit me, Rena. See you soon. In the space of a few minutes, I had been promised a job, and Fujiki's networking had been overturned. Mr. Furuya was the CEO, so no matter how much influence Fujiki's uncle had, he was just a section chief. So there was no way Fujiki could have another chance at working at MoniRobo Trading. Our positions had switched, and Fujiki could no longer look down on me for not being able to get the most sought-after job. A few months later, I had recovered from my injuries, and a few days had passed after being discharged from the hospital. While I was in the hospital, I had no contact from Fujiki, and he hadn't come to visit me, probably scared that he would meet Rena and her family. But one day, he suddenly started sending me messages.
Hey, you've left the hospital, right? Please, you've got to help me out! I'm screwed!
What do you want?
I'm begging you! Please, ask the CEO from MoniRobo Trading to give me another chance! Please, help me get a job! We're friends, right?
What are you talking about? Of course I can't do that. It's not like I've become friends with him, and he's only given me a job out of the kindness of his heart. I'm not going to take advantage of that. And you're not my friend.
Then what am I supposed to do? I need to find a job!
Just do what everyone else is doing. Go to interviews, put in the effort. What else?
I can't do that! I was promised a place at MoniRobo ages ago, so I haven't gone to have interviews at any other companies! I'm not prepared for a plan B! What am I supposed to do?
That's what you get for playing around. It was your decision to use your time like that, so suck it up. You chose to play, and you chose to run away when I had my accident.
Please! At this rate, I won't be able to get a job! I need your help! If I don't get a job, my girlfriend will dump me! I don't have anyone else to go to! My parents and relatives all found out about the kid at the train station, and they're all really disappointed in me! I can't ask them to help me!
You reap what you sow.
What? This all happened because you didn't back me up in the hospital room when that old guy told me he wouldn't hire me!
I'll say it again. This is all your own fault. You get what you deserve. If it was you that saved Rena and not me, this wouldn't have happened. You can't even remember their names, which shows that you don't even feel guilty for what happened. You didn't even come to help me when I was hurt. And you really think that we're friends? You've got to be kidding. Fujiki finally started to put effort into finding a job after he lost his place at MoniRobo Trading. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late. All the other graduates had been desperately looking for jobs since day one. There was no chance for Fujiki to beat them to the chase with so little preparation and determination. In the end, Fujiki wasn't accepted into any of the companies he had an interview with, and he ended up working part-time in a convenience store. Perfect for him, since he thought that it was an embarrassment. It was a good chance for him to experience real work. Moreover, Rena's mother couldn't forgive Fujiki, especially his attitude, and had been going to a lawyer, looking for a way to punish him and make him take responsibility for the incident. She found out that I could take him to court for the injuries he had caused. I couldn't forgive him either, and decided to charge him as the lawyer had instructed. As a result, I was able to demand compensation for the hospital fees, and he was charged by the court to pay me $10,000. I had been in hospital for several months and couldn't go to university during that time, so the final fee had become quite a large sum. Fujiki had no way of paying it himself, so his parents had to pay in his stead, and he had to pay them back from his own wages. Fujiki had lost his friends, girlfriend, and his parents' trust after all the trouble he had caused them. I had received the compensation in one go, so there was no need for me to keep in touch with Fujiki. I didn't want him bothering me, so I decided to delete his number, block him on all social networking sites, and start afresh. I was finally freed from Fujiki, and was looking forward to my new life without him. Then, I finally graduated from university. I didn't have enough credits because of my time in the hospital, but thanks to the kindness of the teachers, I was able to take it back by completing extra coursework and reports. Then, I was able to start working at MoniRobo Trading from April, and was greeted with a warm welcome by everyone in the office. Out of consideration for my injuries, I was going to work in the sales department, so I would be at a desk for most of the day. I was employed because of my connection with the CEO, so I was aware that I had to do my best to prove my worth. I realized on my first day that I knew one of the people in the office. I recognized a man as the person who interviewed me that fateful day, and it turned out that he was going to be my manager. He told me something that shocked me when we had some time to talk. You're completely different from how you were at the interview. You're speaking so cheerfully. I'm really bad at interviews. All of the interviews I had with other companies were terrible too. I get the feeling. There's always someone that fails the interview because of their nerves. But I recommended you. Huh? Really? Even though my answers were all over the place? I could just tell that you were a good kid. You seemed like the honest type, and I knew that you were nervous because you wanted to do your best. That, plus your sports history. Sportsmen with personalities like yours tend to be really popular with companies looking for people to fill sales departments. Just like you said at your interview, you'll need a lot of physical strength. Either way, I don't focus too much on how people speak at their interviews. I was the exact same when I was younger, so I understand how tough it is having the spotlight on you. That makes me feel so much better. Thank you so much. I knew that I was hired as an exception, so I'll do my best to show you all that I deserve to be here. Yeah, I heard that you got hurt saving a little girl. That's not something anyone can do. You should be proud of yourself. It was a miracle that it was the CEO's granddaughter, but it just means that God, or whoever you believe in, is watching. It's a chance you made for yourself, so don't waste it. Do your best. Yes, sir! I was lucky to have a generous CEO and a kind manager, and was looking forward to my new job. I don't think many people can say that they've gotten a job under such miraculous circumstances as mine. Even so, my situation just proves that if you do your best, then good things will happen to you. If you look at Fujiki, you'll see that karma really does exist. I hope that you can all do your best at your own job hunt too, and find the job of your dreams. You've just got to believe in yourself and take pride in the things you do.